It is a wild Friday, and we got a lot to talk about. Trump's even live right now with a meeting with oil execs at the White House. We're not going to go to that just because we've got so many other breaking and developing stories, but we may dip into it for a minute this hour. It's just going to be a wild show today. A lot of new stuff just since noontime today. And one of the things I'm going to go ahead and get this one done first. It's bigger than this homicidal lesbians and SUVs in Minnesota. It's a much bigger story than that. It's mortgage rates just fell again and now are below 6% on average. The new numbers are out today. That's a rate that's you got the FHA rate and you got the VA rate. The VA rate's down to 5.4. This was after Trump made his announcement yesterday about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac buying up the mortgage bonds. It's already having a pressure effect. Then we got a really brilliant inflation number, which tends to indicate every indicator is there for the Feds to go ahead and drop this rate some more at their next meeting. And so that will spur the economy this year probably more than anything. You get lending rates, and it's not just mortgages. It's all lending because cars, houses, business loans, all that stuff that's tied to these rates starts making the economy more fluid. And the point of me coming on with all the nerdy stuff instead of the sensational stuff is this: that will affect your life more than anything else in the coming year. Whether you're buying a home or not, it affects the entire economy, job opportunities, growth. We had jobs numbers today. It wasn't as many jobs as they wanted, but the good news out of that report is that the numbers have flipped. We're now producing more full-time jobs than part-time jobs. It's reversed. It was we were becoming a gig part-time economy, and now those numbers reversed. Full-time jobs are way up. A lot of good stuff a lot of good reasons to be optimistic, like I was yesterday. So now on with the news and the weather, and we'll get to more details on those stories this afternoon as the other stuff. The weather is probably going to be the bigger story tonight through the evening. For most of us, I noticed there wasn't a whole lot of traffic coming in today. Usually Friday's kind of crazy. I guess people are trying to get their stuff done ahead of it. But we're going to get a soaker. We're already underneath some of it. The radar, if you're north of Birmingham, you're getting a ton. Even southwest Alabama, there was a tornado warning out right on the Mississippi line this morning, but I think they called that off before it could cross over into Alabama. So it's going to be a crazy day. Why does my phone radar think I'm in the Ivory Coast? You ever hit your phone and it thinks you're in Africa?
Yeah.
I just was clicking on my radar. It says clearly, oh, here it is. It finally corrected itself. No, I'm not on the Ivory Coast at the moment. Yeah, Clanton, Tuscaloosa getting the heavier stuff right now. Birmingham, the whole thing looks like it's sort of split in two, and Birmingham's getting a break. There are phenomenal rainfall totals on these projection maps, even this afternoon. And, of course, with all weather, the closer you get to the incident, the more accurate the forecast. So what you have is what forecasters call a training effect, where storm after storm after storm will just kind of roll through tonight because we've got a frontal boundary that's just stuck right over the top of us. So we're just watching them roll by, and thunder, no severe parameters so far this evening, and not really any of that's expected. But we've got a serious flood potential. So what I would tell you, especially if you know you're going to be or know that you live in low-lying areas, flood-prone areas, have a way to be warned, because floodwaters move so quickly and can cause damage so quickly. And again, it's the biggest killer of all weather events. But again, it ain't as sexy as tornadoes or hurricanes, so people tend to blow the warnings off. But we're going to get some serious rain tonight, probably through lunch tomorrow. And, of course, we're here till 6, and we'll be updating you on all that stuff. Now let's go out to Minnesota. This story stays in the news today. And the narrative for these angry people that are trying to tear up Minneapolis right now is just blown to hell today with yet another video that's been released this afternoon. And it's pretty dang clear. It's as clear as it could possibly be that I'm going to describe what you're listening to because you can't see the video, and then we'll play the audio portion of the video. I guess this came out about 2 hours ago. This is a point of view camera from the officer that was hit and had to pull his weapon. And what you see in the beginning of this is these two lesbians, and I'm saying that because it's two women, were harassing all of these officers, and this officer in particular. The partner of the woman who was killed is outside her vehicle in her traditional flannel tribal garb, confronting the officer with her phone. I guess she's making fun of him being fat because she says, "Go get some lunch, big boy," daring the officers to do anything. And then the officer moves away from her around to the front of the vehicle. You hear the other officers telling her to get out of the vehicle. And I don't know their names. So the dead woman's name is Robin, her partner's whatever. And that woman yelled at her partner, "Drive, baby, drive." In other words, hit the gas. And in the video, you see Lesbo 1 with her eyes locked on the officer. She's driving right at him. You hear her strike him. He moves to the side, pulls his weapon very, very quickly, and fires the shots that killed her. It's an inflammatory video in that I'm never going to say, I'm trying to restrain myself from saying they had it coming, because the more base side of me, the street justice side of me says, yeah, you got it. She had it coming. They were harassing, stalking, taunting, and screwing with these officers, this one in particular, and tried to run him over. You can see it. It's as clear as a bell. There is no ambiguity. I was convinced yesterday. I'm even more convinced today. Here's what it sounded like. My man AJ got to bleep out some F-bombs and whatnot. But you can barely hear what she says. She screams, "Drive, baby, drive." He moves to the side. She locks on, hits the gas. As soon as he hears the engine revving, he knows it's coming after him. Why? Because 6 months ago, he was in the similar incident, was severely injured. The people, anyway, I'll save the other commentary. Let's just listen to the audio. Every voice you hear are the Batman and Robin in plaid. So they roll up on her. He walks up on her. Again, this is a point of view camera being worn by the officer.
I'm not mad at you. Show your face. I'm not mad at you. That's okay. We don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former.
That's the wife, the partner.
You want to come at us? I said go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car.
You hear him tell her to get out of the car. She guns Okay, let's back that up again. You hear, you can, in the faint distance, you can hear the woman yell, "Drive, baby, drive," to her. I don't know which one plays Batman and which one plays Robin at Halloween, but I think Robin's on the outside of the car and yells to Batman inside the car to hit the guy. "Drive, baby, drive." Again, she was at one point documenting all this, probably for their social media fame. Social media is driving people nuts. So the woman does it. By the way, there's a dog in the car, and that's the first I'd heard of that. I saw the dog. Did you see the dog? He's this poor old thing. He's just like, "Hey, man, can I just live with a straight couple that votes MAGA?" Gosh. These people are nuts. This woman moved to this couple moved to Canada to flee Trump. TDS all the way. Couldn't take Canada. Comes back to Minnesota to hook up with this training organization called Ice Watch, considered themselves, quote, warriors. They go to the scene, mess with the cops all day, and then assaulted one of them. And we're supposed to feel sorry for that? That's supposed to be sympathetic. Taunted them. One of them encourages the other to run over the officer. She runs at the officer and gets capped. This story is exponentially worse for the so-called ICE warriors than not. And there are follow-on stories about all the investigations that are going down. So let's listen to it again. I'm trying to tell you what you're listening for because it happens quickly. Faintly at the end, let's go to the end, AJ, right when she's about to pull off. You hear, it's a quick sequence. She yells drive. The driver hits the gas. You hear the bump where she hits the officer. You can hear him hit him. You hear it's because it's he's got his body cam on and it's a louder sound. He's making contact with the vehicle, and then quickly he pops at least 2 shots off. Take a listen.
I said go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out of the car.
I think he called her a bitch, didn't he?
Yes.
A little late. She was probably dead by then. So, wow. So that adds context to the story. And let me just say this. The people in the streets of Minnesota are fact-free. we've got yet another fact-free, phony outrage story brewing in the country where they're going to try to get attention and burn a city down. They don't care what the cause is. They're protesting for protest's sake. They thought they had another one. And now that the facts have changed, they'll still protest because they're being led by this little wimpy beta male weasel who continues to spew invective. You've got Democrat politicians accusing this officer of murder. There is no evidence of his illegality in any of this. You want me to tell you what's illegal? Do I have time to get all this in here? Crossing the border is illegal. Declaring yourself a sanctuary city is not legal. That's no legal status. What that's saying is you're going to be George Wallace and ignore the federal government. And then your dereliction of not deploying your police force to protect the citizens while the federal government conducts its operations to pretend that they're the problem. They're not the problem. These militant organizations that are off being funded by leftist groups to disrupt Trump, some of that could be considered illegal because it's conspiratorial. It's part of an ongoing enterprise. They're committing illegal activities, blocking police, harassing police, assaulting police. Those are all illegal activities for political agenda. By any stretch of the imagination, that is a terror organization. And now we find out this afternoon they're being investigated as such. That whole network of training and funding and operational moves on our law enforcement, they're being investigated, and good. All that's illegal. Interrupting a federal officer while they're enforcing the law, you've broken the law. Blocking the street and impeding the officers as she did, you've broken the law. Clearly trying to kill an officer with your car, you've just drawn the death penalty on yourself. I can keep going. There's a lot of illegality in these stories, and not one of them points to Homeland Security or ICE. They're not breaking the laws. They're doing nothing that breaks the law. And by the way, the mayor came out today and again tried to insist that the Fed should allow the state to investigate this case. They saying that they wanted an independent investigation. No, they don't have authority to do that. This is not on them. They do not have jurisdiction whatsoever and never have and will never get it. That is political hubris to keep people thinking that this idiot mayor that jumped out ahead of his skis and declared these officers murderers before he could see all the rest of the facts for his political agenda, he was wrong and he's still trying to justify himself. Meantime, brand new stuff about the investigations into all the fraud that's going on in this very same city and what's about to happen next, and it is breathtaking. We'll get to that one at a time as we go along this afternoon. Taking your phone calls, too. Breaking news when we get it. We got a lot going on for a Friday. 545-9950. We might even take a listen to some of this Trump stuff. He's got J.D. Vance, who just killed it yesterday, dealing with the media, and he's surrounded by oil execs that are all lined up. They have beaten a path to the White House, wanting a piece of this Venezuelan thing. Quickly, before I go to the break, I would submit to you that they're going to go in and rehab the oil industry in Venezuela in moonshot fashion and probably get this oil flowing and online faster than has been humanly possible. One, because they don't have to deal with the environmental regs and governmental regs back here in the United States. But two, there's huge incentive. Trump will put it out there. He's a get-it-done guy. And when he puts it out there and says, go get it, go get the oil, and if you can do it by these timelines, he will put timelines on these guys, and they'll have to get it done and have to get it delivered. So I started the show with the lower interest rates and everything else that's improving in the economy. Cheap gas is next, and it could just be months away or even sooner. Quick break. Back in a minute. Leland Live. All right, y'all, let's go. 220, what am I saying? Yeah, 223, Leland Live, Talk 99.5. Let's dip into this thing with Trump for a minute. I just want to get a flavor of it because we got other stuff to deal with today, too, and you never know how these things are going to drone on. Trump is, Doug Borgham is speaking right now, his Secretary of the Interior, and let's just take a listen to some of this stuff.
Happen if we were dependent on everybody else for energy. So you're a big part of the reason that we're able to move the way we are today, and we're grateful that you're here to be part of the solution going forward.
Thank you, Doug, and you are doing a fantastic job, and we appreciate it. Everybody appreciates it. They know who's doing well. Chris Wright.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, what we've seen in the last week is leadership matters and credibility matters. Venezuelan oil has been sanctioned for many years, and the oil just flew, those sanctions were not enforced. That oil just floated out to trafficked by bad actors of the world. The resources weren't gone to a central place. The corruption and decline of Venezuela has been a crisis for the people of Venezuela. And as Secretary Rubio said, massive spillover effects in the United States, in crime, in drugs, in kidnappings, and in taking a huge resource base and making it not exploited, not developed. The whole world is a poorer, less opportunity-rich place because of that. When you have materials underground, they've been underground for 1 million years. That does not make them a resource. That does not make them valuable for your country, your people, or the world. They only become a resource with technology, with capital, with rule of law, and a system of governance that encourages the harvesting of those resources to make the better world. And we see here the dramatic contrast between the United States, which may have less oil underground than Venezuela. We have 20 times the production of Venezuela, 20 times the impact of human betterment, massively better quality of living here in the United States. That was at risk under the last administration. We've seen a lot of attacks on the energy that makes the world go round. President Trump's election has removed those risks, has embraced reality about how the world is energized, and we are at record production of oil in the United States, record production in natural gas in the United States. We've seen a meaningful decline in gasoline prices, diesel prices, travel prices because of jet fuel. And now President Trump is taking the genius of a different way to try to solve a 25-year festering problem in Venezuela, that all the traditional things have not worked. But ordering both a tremendous military operation to remove the heads of a criminal organization masquerading as a government, and then to use the power of our military, not to fire bullets, but to stop the flow of Venezuelan oil to the world, immediately gave us leverage over the interim authorities in Venezuela and has allowed us to be in this position today where the actions of this government can massively improve Venezuela for the better, and the bigger impact is to massively improve the quality of life, affordability, safety, and security of the United States. Very proud to be here. And we'll turn it over to Mark Nelson, who's the vice chairman of Chevron. Chevron has been in Venezuela for over 100 years, continuously. Mike Wirth, the CEO, had a knee replacement recently. He's not here. Mark is a tremendous leader in our industry, and I'll turn it over to him.
Thank you, Secretary Wright. Again, I'll send Mike Wirth's regrets. He really wanted to be here, Mr. President.
Right. Great guy.
On his behalf.
All right, I guess we'll take it back here. It'll be interesting if they ever do get to a Q&A. I'm not sure they're set up for that. This is one of those giant horseshoe table setups, so they got people sitting around and just having a discussion. I'll say this, first impressions on this little thing. With everything else going on in the world today, the president is focused. This issue is more important to the rest of us than the vitriolic stuff coming out of Minnesota and the cheap politics of the rioting and the lies and the poor media coverage. That's still the headline. That's sensational. That's going to lead. But this boring, dry stuff about getting oil out of the ground and getting cost of the way you live your life in terms of your mortgages and your lending and your jobs and the employment, that stuff is still more important. It's not as sexy, but the president, to give him credit, is focused on that. Today they do this event. The move we just made in Venezuela last weekend has opened the door for this, and that's going to help all of the Western Hemisphere, including us, I love the point that the energy secretary just made a second ago, and it's a good way to put it, is the oil in the ground in any country, name a country, name a continent, is worthless unless you have a system to get it out of the ground. And by that, a system, you need the latest technology, you need a stable government, you need that industry has to participate in the world commodity that is crude oil. And when you do that, you can profit wildly, your country can do well, and the world benefits from that energy. What you had in Venezuela was a chaotic third world dictator and sheer incompetence to, even after they seized it's like the energy companies here in the West had already gotten it out of the ground for them and showed them where it was. Then they steal our equipment, $10 billion worth of stuff, run our companies out, and they can't function. And then they're having to sell it all over the world on the black market. All that's over. The chaos is over. We have better trained people in technology. We are the best in the world at it. The Saudis would be riding camels and throwing rocks at each other if the West didn't show them where they had their oil and teach them how to do it. So would everybody else in the Middle East, and so would this country. The United States of America is the pioneer on this. We're big consumers of it too, but the world needs us to do this and do it right. Hallelujah. Back in a minute. All right, let's start with Hueytown Pawn tonight. Man, this is, it's a pawn shop. It started as a pawn shop. They've always been a pawn shop. They still do that work. But over the years, Tommy and the guys got really good at doing the gun industry stuff. I mean, they as any pawn shop, you're going to take some pre-owned weapons in on pawn them from time to time. Then you get to be experts on value. And they went out and started getting new lines of business where they created a new gun counter with new lines like Ruger and all the brands you know. And started building that up. And then they became gunsmiths, and now they have got a really nice gun operation. You've got some stores that are fancy and some stores that are crowded and have a reputation that has been there for years, and those are fine stores. They really are. But you're going to find real value over at Hueytown Pawn. So if you're out there shopping around before you make a purchase, pop over to Hueytown and see what they have that might compare. Handguns, the AR platforms, both the short and long. A lot of the laws changed this year. I don't think anybody in the state can beat them on their supply of sound suppression. They are really stocked up on that, and the prices are good and the value's good there. Plus, you get to meet those guys. They're just great guys if you need a little gunsmithing done or something like that. Hunting selection, too. They've got both new and pre-owned stuff. If you want some used guns that people have brought in, they've got a nice selection of those as well all over Hueytown Pawn. And they made this really impressed me. They made the investment in some, let me just call it technology because I don't understand it. It's sort of an electronic machine that connects to the background check system that can get you digitally approved very, very quickly. And they can also store your information, not the transaction of the purchase, but your information, so that, say down the road, they've got a special running and you decide you want to give them a ring and say, hey, hold me one. I want in on that. They've got your background check and can kind of populate that and rerun it for you ahead of you coming into the store. Then all you got to do is sign. And so it saves you money and time, I guess, to get it done that way. It's pretty smart stuff. Go by and see them if you don't have anything to do this weekend. Going to be kind of a lazy, boring weekend, really. Hueytown Pawn, guess where they are? Anybody? They're in Hueytown. A long drive for some of you, but worth the drive. Y'all go see Tommy and Adam and all those guys. Hueytown Pawn, Brook Lane Drive, Hueytown Pawn. Hey, Jay, we didn't even have a chance to talk. I came in here on fire today. You doing all right?
Man, I'm too blessed to be depressed, man. I'm good.
I actually get to see you in person today. I decided to come on in because with the storms, man.
Yeah.
We got to be here for all that.
Well, you know, and today it's just it's a pretty busy day because it's actually, you know, I'm part of a fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, and today is our Founders Day. So it's been a celebration. So it's been a very interesting Friday, pretty interesting week, and it's been good.
Well, good for you, man. It's nice to hear some positive news today.
Yes.
I've been blowing sunshine all week. I'm loving everything I'm reading this week, man. 26 is off to the races. I'm loving it. A very, very good friend of the show and a friend of mine has just given me something that popped up online. And the agent that was involved that is now we've seen has been exonerated for the 5th time with this newest in-person video. They've now doxed his home address. Somebody has gone to one of these, I guess, Google or real estate sites, pulled up a picture of his home, location of his home. And so now his family's in jeopardy. And I'm going to say this, and I'm saying it out of emotion right now because this kind of stuff pisses me off. If anything happens to that man's family, and the fact that he's going to have to flee his home now and probably go into hiding until some of this stuff blows over. If anything happens to anybody close to him, it is 110% the fault of Mayor Jacob Frey. And I wish the law could be extrapolated to make him an accessory to all the violence that's happening. These guys are instigating these people with mental illnesses. These people are mentally ill to begin with. They get their emotions exploited. Their lives are, I'm going to psychologically break them down, and I think I'm right. You can challenge me if you want to. This is beyond politics. This isn't legitimate protest. And this isn't airing your grievances against your government. We do that. We have a whole system that was set up for defending this country to do that. You elect your people. You can draft referendum to put on your state ballots. You can solicit your city council and your state government and the federal government. You can support or not support a candidate. You can call people. You can hold up signs. You can have rallies. You can talk in a bullhorn. You can do all these things. That is beautiful, and it's part of what we do here. but they've launched over into violence. And it's not violence as a reaction to some unusual situation. This woman and her other woman put on their costumes, dressed up like superheroes, abandoned the one child she's been allowed to keep. By the way, you know, she had 2 kids taken away from her. And went to the scene, went to the training, stoked herself full of bitterness and rage, and went to the scene looking for a confrontation and provoked a confrontation and got herself killed. And now the ICE agent's the one that has his family in jeopardy. She's the martyr to these bedwetters in Minnesota, and this guy's the hero to the rest of the country. And it's not even ambiguous. And so now they're doxing the good guy. When did we turn that corner in this country? I know it was 2020. Suddenly we started vilifying people with badges. That was always wrong. You know how many people died because of the BLM movement? More people died because of BLM than died before BLM. It was a fraud. And now they're trying to make a comeback. Some of their leaders have already gone to prison, stolen the money, squandered the money. So now let's talk about stolen money. And I haven't even had a chance to send AJ all these clips I've been collecting all morning. So we've got new investigations. We found out about the new AG yesterday that's going to be focusing in on the folks over in Minnesota, or up in Minnesota. Where's my direction? But now you've got John Solomon. We hinted at this last night. I didn't have the full story in front of me. But this is the way I understand this story has gone. And AJ, I'm going to send you the sound real quick and we can hear him. Of course, he's the proprietor of justthenews.com. They've been investigating some of this stolen money in Somalia. So there's several parts to it. One, the whole layer of accountability where the Tim Walz administration, Keith Ellison, none of those guys were competent enough to stop it, but they were participating in it. Okay, you talk about illegality. When I went through the list of illegal things that have been happening in this whole narrative and how there's culpability on the other side, not your side, not my side, the other side, they're breaking the law all over the place. Stealing federal tax money is breaking the law. And if you're in office or you just got here from Mogadishu, you're breaking the law. So all the layers of it, the fact that the autistic kids and the kids that really need daycare, we're not getting daycare funds that they steal out of your paycheck and send to Washington to send to Minnesota to give to kids that don't exist. And so they've set up these fake operations. Yesterday, Ilhan Omar gets caught setting one, trying to get a direct appropriation through Congress. This isn't even hide the ball where you get some agency funded and then you do a backdoor with the agency and give them a wink and go, hey, it'd be nice if you gave a grant to Ahmed over here. He's running and she could do air quotes, a drug rehab center. Wink, wink. You know, he just needs a cool $1 million. And that's pretty much what she got caught doing. They got caught running a drug rehab center out of a grocery store? They had 3 other businesses in it. These people are fake. They're frauds. But what are they doing with the money? So there's that scandal, the people that are defrauded, the taxpayers that are defrauded, the people that should be getting these funds defrauded, the public officials participating, the Somalis who shouldn't even damn be here, half of them, they're, subject to scrutiny. But the money itself, where'd it go? Now, we've known for a while they've been wiring money back to Somalia. And Al-Shabaab is a terror organization that pretty much runs the place. They don't really have a functional government. They just fight with each other and have been for hundreds of years after they became a country. And so Al-Shabaab kind of taxes anything that comes in. They tell them, hey, we're going to tax you for taking money out of everything that comes into that country. It's their, they don't produce a product. They're not sophisticated enough to manufacture anything. So they just steal stuff. They hijack ships and steal stuff from the rest of the world. That's their GDP. So there's this Nick Shirley that caught him running these fake daycare centers. Also, he decided to go into a grocery store and just ask, hey, Mogadishu man, what are you doing there at the wire machine? He just told him, hey, I'm sending money back to Africa. So they're wiring the money out of the country. And then they're doing it in digital currency or what do they call it? Crypto. they're using crypto to get some of the money out. That means you'll never find it again. The government will never claw it back. It's gone. Billions of dollars out of this country. Didn't even stay in the country. Fake operation. There are no kids being helped, no people being treated, no autism being fixed. Money goes straight to Mogadishu. This is our federal government and our state government allowing this to happen, looking the other way. But then there's John Solomon, who yesterday reported that they had evidence that bags of cash, literally suitcases full of cash, are being hauled out of the country. Now, my advice to you at this point is don't wreck the car before you hear the soundbite, because you might wreck the car. It's raining out there and it's a little dangerous. They were taking $1 million a day in suitcases on planes. There were these couriers that every day flew back and forth from here to Africa with suitcases full of $1 million and took it back to Mogadishu. Stolen money from the taxpayers to Mogadishu. How do we know this? Because these people declared it to the TSA. When you go through a TSA checkpoint, they're also looking for you smuggling money. So they open up your bag and they say, I don't know any Somali names. Let's just call him Steve. Steve, what's with the money? Oh, it's $1 million. I take it home. And he does it every day. They took three on just the records that are available today. We don't know how long this has been going on. On a daily basis, they were taking $1 million a day in cold, hard cash back to Mogadishu. I would name another town in Somalia, but I can't because I can't think of one. $1 million in cash a day. You do it in cash so you can't trace it. And they figured out that you can straight up tell the TSA what you're doing, and they're not going to raise any red flags and call the Treasury Department or the DEA. They don't know where the money came from. As long as it's not a weapon, they're going, next, wave them right through. Maybe they paid off people at the TSA and went through the same security thing every day. I don't know, but they declared it. Good on them, I guess. If we're dumb enough to do it, let me take their side for a minute. If I'm from Somalia and I grew up broke and destitute in a war-torn nation, and I'm going to be allowed to take $1 million in cash a day, and the governor says he'll look the other way, and the AG says he'll look the other way if you give him a campaign contribution, and the TSA doesn't give a damn, and they just let you do it, and they'll hand it to you if you just put a vinyl banner, a misspelled vinyl banner on the side of a building. Why not? That's like an armored truck, just the doors opening up and dumping cash right in front of you in the middle of the street. Yeah, they're going to take it. So these idiots in the Democrat Party that are running this operation, just let them. So Solomon has them on the record. $1 million a day for 350 days last year, straight out of the country. Take a listen to this.
It was literally a foreign ATM taking cash out of the United States to foreign destinations, and we don't know the reason why. But that is now under investigation by the FBI and HSI. And people say, well, is this normal? I mean, maybe this goes on in every airport. We got comparative statistics yesterday. The amount of money that these Somali couriers took out of the Minneapolis airport with the TSA flagging it daily was 99 times larger than all the cash that was declared in luggage going out of New York's JFK International Airport, one of the busiest international airports in America. 99 times more than what flies out of Dallas. 90% more. 90% more than what was flown out of Seattle, which is the most common airport for people to go to Asia from. This was an abnormally high amount of cash being stuffed in the luggage, being detected every day by the TSA. Because, by the way, the couriers they declared the money. They literally would say, yeah, we got $1 million in our suitcase, which you have to do to get it through the airport. And nobody in the Biden administration thought it was unusual that $1 million of cash was moving in luggage out of the country, out of Minneapolis every day, way more than any other airport in America at the time. This is, I think, the second end of this welfare scam, which is where was this money going after it was defrauded?
They should have just called Crocker Moving Services and backed up a truck. Nobody would have asked. I bet Eric would have asked. Something would have seemed unusual. You've got either the most corrupt people that have ever pooped between two shoes in our federal government, or they're the stupidest people that ever pooped between two shoes. I say that because we don't have modern plumbing in Mogadishu. Crocker Moving Services. I just threw Eric under the bus on purpose. Man, Eric's a good guy. Here's one of the good guys that served his country in the Marine Corps. Which just happens to be some of the best training you could have to run a moving company and do logistics And he comes home and starts this moving company, and he says in his own ads, I've only been 2 things in my life, a mover and a Marine. Man, that's a solid dude right there that can get it done. He's tailored his company so that they can do just a couple hours at a time. You don't have to book them all day and book a whole crew. If they just need to send 2 guys in a truck and move that big thing somewhere else, they'll do it. 2 hours is amazing, too. I've never booked them longer than that. They've done a whole house move where it's just the heavy stuff, and we got all the little stuff. They knocked it out. 2 hours, done. Came over to my house one day, went over and picked up a 1,000-pound safe, brought it all the way out to my house, probably 15, 20 miles away, backed it way down the driveway, crossed a ditch, over some grass, across some rocks, in 2 doors, around 2 or 3 turns. We had to take a couple of doors off, got it into this safe room, and did that in under 2 hours. Yeah, they're efficient. They're good, and you can trust them. It is CrockerMovingServices.com, CrockerMovingServices.com. Y'all, Monster Line are also bringing you the show tonight. If you got anything that needs painting, it's usually outdoor stuff, things are made out of metal, things that could rust or corrode in the weather and the elements and the sunshine. That's what they invented this for. They invented this product to be able to take care of that kind of thing and get it done right. With the roll-on technique that all of us can do, you don't need special equipment or sprayers or talent. Man, it really does. If you know a good paint person, man, that is pure talent. It takes years to really get good at it. But most of us are not like that. And if you've got a thing that you don't have the budget to pay somebody thousands of dollars to paint it, a vehicle, an old vehicle, whatever, boat trailer, utility trailer, you can do this yourself, and it'll look good. This is industrial-grade paint, goes on in a textured fashion, 2-coat process, and they send you everything you need to know, everything you need to do it. They're in Coleman County, too, Magnet Paints. Product's called Monster Liner. You can take a look at it and look at all the colors, get them to send you paint chips, and check it out in the real world at monsterliner.com, MONSTALINER. All right, Trump's taking questions. I'm surprised at that. He's got he and Rubio. This could be good with all that's going on. We'll listen to it for a few minutes as we head toward the top.
The people are great people. I look forward to meeting with them. We're going to meet in the very near future.
Would you meet the interim president of Venezuela here in the White House? Would you greet her to discuss the fate of the oil?
Yeah, well, I'm going to meet a lot of people, and we're going to meet, we meet a lot of people. When you end 8 wars, you get to know a lot of people, and I think it's very important. As an example, we have over $18 trillion. Think of that, $18 trillion coming into our country. A lot of that's coming in from foreign countries like Saudi Arabia and Qatar and UAE and others. And I get to meet a lot of people, but I will be meeting with various representatives of Venezuela probably pretty soon. We haven't set that up. But the relationship that we have with the people that are currently running Venezuela is very good. We also have a young lady that received the Nobel Peace Prize. She's going to come in and pay her regards to our country, really, to me. But, I'm a representative of the country, nothing else. And she's coming in sometime next week, I think Tuesday or Wednesday. And we'll see how that is. But, no, we're dealing with the people from Venezuela. We're dealing with them very well. I think they've been very smart in the way they've dealt with us, frankly, because that whole place could have been obliterated with one more strike, and we didn't want to do that.
Thank you so much. I have a question for you on Minneapolis, but on Venezuela and your meeting with Machado next week. If she gives you her Nobel Peace Prize, will that change your view about her running that country?
Well, I have to speak to her. I'm going to have to speak to her. She might be involved in some aspect of it. I will have to speak to her. I think it's very nice that she wants to come in, and that's what I understand the reason is, because Norway is very embarrassed by what took place. They're getting decimated. Look, whether people like Trump or don't like Trump, I settled 8 wars, big ones, some going on for 36 years, 32 years, 31 years, 28 years, 25 years, some just getting ready to start, like India and Pakistan, where already 8 jets were shot out of the air, and I got it done in rapid order without nuclear weapons. I can't think of anybody in history that should get the Nobel Prize more than me, and I don't want to be bragging, but nobody else settled wars. Obama got the Nobel Prize. He had no idea why. He still has no idea. He walks around and he says, I got the Nobel Prize. Why did he get a Nobel Prize? He got it almost immediately upon attaining office, and he didn't do anything, and he was a bad president. So, you should get the Nobel Prize for every war you stopped. These were major wars. These were wars that nobody thought could be stopped. President Putin called me, and he said about 2 of the wars that he's been trying to stop them for 10 years. He wasn't able to do it. He couldn't believe it. So in theory, you should get the Nobel Prize for every war you stopped. Every one of them was major. But I don't care about that. What I care about is saving lives. I've saved tens of millions of lives. The Prime Minister of Pakistan came here, and he made a very public statement. He said that President Trump saved minimum 10 million lives having to do with Pakistan and India, and that was going to be raging. So, but I'm honored that she's coming here. I look forward to meeting her, yes. Go ahead.
On Minneapolis, Mr. President, I have a follow-up for you. The state officials there have said that the FBI is not sharing evidence with them. Typically, they would conduct a joint investigation, as you know. Do you believe that the FBI should be sharing evidence with state officials in Minnesota?
Well, normally I would, but they're crooked officials. Minneapolis and Minnesota, what a beautiful place, but it's being destroyed. It's got an incompetent governor, fool. He's a stupid person. And it looks like the number could be $19 billion stolen from a lot of people, but largely people from Somalia. They buy their vote. They vote in a group. They buy their vote. They sell more Mercedes-Benzes in that area than almost. Can you imagine? You come over with no money, and then shortly thereafter you're driving a Mercedes-Benz. The whole thing is ridiculous. So they're very corrupt people. It's a very corrupt state. I feel that I won Minnesota. I think I won it all 3 times. Nobody's won it since Richard Nixon won it many, many years ago. I won it all 3 times, in my opinion. And it's a corrupt state, a corrupt voting state. And the Republicans ought to get smart and demand on voter ID. They ought to demand maybe same-day voting and all of the other things that you have to have a safe election. But I won Minnesota 3 times.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take it to the news. And if he's still going, we'll listen to this when we get back as we watch everything this afternoon. Leland Live.